I think the one aspect is just to be able to run your model on your data, your language with all cultural, linguistic aspects you want to include in this model. So that's one thing. Another thing is you need experts that are able to modify, train your models, experts that are able to run such models on your infrastructure, which is also not obvious that this particular job is easy. So running on scale, running with different environments, you need experts to do this. There are also aspects like security. You don't want to expose all your data, your people, society, or uh, or basically everything. Uh, you don't want to always send it to to other countries, to externally to different clouds. So that's another aspect. Um, there is also like infrastructure independency. Uh, when you want to, from one side, leverage your own infrastructure, but from the other side, you want to also, mm, if someone turn off cloud um, abroad, then you want to be still able to use AI, right? So in this term, you need to run your own and your run AI on your own infrastructure to avoid such situations. For such languages like Polish, where there is no much data in training data sets on models like GPT, Claude, or even open source from China, for example, um, these languages are not very well handled by models because they try to copy style and copy mm, way how text is generated from different languages to Polish when they try to respond in Polish. It's not like you discuss with you talk with native people. It's rather like you speak with you talk with someone that lives in Poland, but it's born. It was he was born abroad, like, and this language, even if it's correct, it's rather like I would say it's flat. Uh, Words are not very sophisticated. It's rather like the simple words and pretty much does it. So it's good to just be able to communicate with such language, but it's not very good to, for example, if you want to generate article or something like this, that it sounds catchy or something like this, then you need um, more um, language which is not which is much more capable. So in this term, for example, if you for if you want to generate like like articles, you can train your own model or fine tune model to be able to do that. But uh, big models like GPT or Claude or Gemini, they are good to in generate mm, text in Polish, but it's not um, the text doesn't contain like the sophisticated words, for example. So it sounds correct, but it's not very natural. And to address this fact, you need to either um, you need to use another model. So either you can use one um, like Bielik, for example, that is already trained in Polish, or you need to fine tune another model. So that's from the just linguistic part. From the cultural aspect, it's also very important to be able to um, address different details from our culture that are not even all available on the internet. So these big models like GPT or Claude, they are trained basically on the data that are available on the internet. So some of these details, cultural details, are not included there in the data. So if for example, in Bielik, we try to collect very not only data from the internet, but also data that are, let's say, closed, meaning by you need to go somewhere, for example, to uh, local people and get such data, and then you can learn about different also like dialects, for example, right? That's another part of between linguistic and culture aspect, because some of these dialects are close to die. So if we want to address such things, um, we need to collect data that that are available in such places, and there is no way for companies in US or China to be able to collect this data. So we try to address also this aspect, training our own models. There are also like different topics that you can uh, use model for, like um, for example, these dialects I mentioned. If you want to generate text or handle text with such dialects, local dialects, these models, I mean, for like GPT or Claude, that might be not able to handle it properly or as good as you want it to be. So I think that's one thing, that's one part of it. Another part could be if you run company and you have I don't know, maybe some mm, words or names that you would like to include, you would like to mm, model be able to use, you need to fine tune this model. So it's of course it's doable with external models, I mean these proprietary models, but you cannot, it's not easy and cheap. So that's another part, ability to fine tune the model to your own wording. uh, I think also the fact you mentioned this, um, the model are these models, I mean GPT, Claude, they are able to generate text in Polish, the good text. But I think it's also important to know that this text usually doesn't contain um, very um, sophisticated words, I would call it this way. I mean words that native people could use. um, and yeah, these models, mm, I think I haven't seen such situation with when a model like GPT generated text uh, with um, yeah with such sophisticated words. I can't right give you a like example right now for this, but yeah, I think that's one aspect of it. It's not very easy, as you mentioned, because most of the benchmarks are already prepared for English, for not only for Bielik. Here in Poland, we created 7 diverse benchmarks to measure different linguistic and cultural aspects of Polish language. So we created our own benchmarks. Uh, we some of these benchmarks were created based on English versions of them, but by not translated directly to Polish, but adapted to Polish. But by adapted, I mean we took into account not only language, but also aspects like places, for example, right? So where we uh, localized these benchmarks, we changed names of uh, cities, for example, to Polish cities. Um, Also, we change names of people or different aspects of them. Uh, some of these benchmarks were like written um, by people from not from scratch, because they were uh, kind of localized, right? But it's not like translation. That's what I want to express here. So we created our own benchmarks, and this, I think, this aspect is also very important when we talk about sovereignty, when we talk about localized or models or AI that is localized, there is focused on specific language or specific culture. So this ability to create or use your own benchmarks is also very important. Um, and there is also another thing which is, I think, kind of important to mention here. Um, when we train a model like Bielik for Polish, we don't only monitor or um, yeah take into account benchmarks just specifically just for Polish. It's also important to take into account other benchmarks in English, as well as also in different languages, because if model is good, if your model is good, it should be at least able to uh, operate on some level in on different aspects, not only just generate good text in Polish. It should be also capable of some math operation, for example, or maybe not operations, but um, using or cover math as a topic, right? It should be able to generate text that mm, is uh, th- that very well explained different aspects. For example, in math, or different, or even in different languages. Because if you have model for Polish uh, and Polish people, you want to usually you want to use it on or also to translate, right? So this is another aspect we try to address training Bielik as a Polish language model, we, we try to address this translation aspect. Models should be able to translate from and to Polish, right? To and from different languages. For example, this new version of Bielik that is coming soon, it's going to be able to handle uh, most of European languages. We try to address this aspect in our model because we believe, deeply believe, this is a very important thing for for Polish people as well as other people, even in other countries in Europe, to be able to operate in different languages, right? We cannot like compete with companies like OpenAI or Anthropic or Google. Uh, we cannot compete with GPU. We not compete with like resources, people, for example, right? So manpower. Um, but I don't. I think it's okay. At least Bielik is a good example of it because we have team of like less than 10 people working pro bono after regular hours, and we were able to train model that is already used by many companies in Poland, including government, militaries, and etc. So as you can see, it's not like real hard limit to do such things. It's rather making it harder. Um, but it's also important to mention that we don't want to really compete with such companies. And the reason for that is because we produce different artifacts. Companies like OpenAI or Anthropic train models that are globally capable of running pretty much all tasks that exist, right? So if you imagine any task you want to use model for, you can go to GPT, Anthropic, or Claude, I mean, or Gemini, run your task on such models, and you're going to get pretty much good result. I mean, maybe not the best as you would expect, but fair enough, right? Then comparing to our model or localized models, you don't want to be able run to use like all tasks or maybe not even all tasks, but in all languages, right? Uh, what I mentioned before, training dialect, we try to address or include other languages from Europe, right? But we don't want to like it's not our focus to be able to be the best in Chinese, for example, right? So when we focused on our language or some languages around, when we focus on some culture aspects, for example, uh, for Poland specifically, um, if we focus on business use cases that are already available and mostly used in Poland, then we have just a subset of capabilities that are available in big models. Then with this subset, we can focus to be able to we can focus to be the best or as best as best as good as possible to to handle these use cases, right? Then we can use our mm, like resources we have to train model that we are able to train on these resources to address these use cases. And as Bielik is a good example of this. We focused on business use cases we were aware of. We trained our model to be able to generate very good to generate text in Polish that is very good in terms of language aspect. It's very natural, etc. So, and I don't want to say it's good in it's got it's not good enough per se. It's very good. I mean, it's very good, and we try it to be even better, make it even better. So I think it's a good example, and other countries, especially in Europe, for example, can can do can do this as well. We have in Europe we have AI factories, uh, so there are some resources already available in Europe. In Poland, we have also some good computer centers with good hardware, very good very good engineers. Uh, so we we have resources. Maybe not as much resources are like in US or in China, but it's it's not blocker to do good things. I really doubt that uh, companies like OpenAI will grab most of the market, and the reason for that is I mean, there are different aspects of this. Why it's that? One thing is smaller models are getting better and better, which means you can have your own model or you can have smaller model be able to run it on your infrastructure, localize it, I don't know, adjust it to your needs, and it's good enough, right? You d- so you don't want to you don't need to pay uh, to other companies. You can run it on your infrastructure. So that's one aspect. It's getting better and better, so you can use it. So one thing. Another thing is sovereignty as a approach, um, because we need. It's not like we want. It's we need be able to run models or run AI locally as a country because we we are getting to point when it's critical. And the reason why it's critical is because if we want to use AI in military by government um, for healthcare, we we cannot be dependent on technology or even on on AI that is running externally that we are not able to control, we are not able to manage, right? So we cannot, like a country, use external AI for our internal purposes. So no way to do it. Um, so we are like kind of forced to be able to first train our models, then manage them, and then use by our people. All countries have the same problem. So all countries uh, will try to use or train or use models that are smaller, maybe even not smaller, but they are their own. Um, sometimes, so that's one aspect of this. Another aspect is purely economical aspect. If you can run small model for your task and it's as good as GPT or Gemini, and you can pay just a fraction of the price to run such model, what you will choose, right? You will choose smaller model, of course, because it's economical wise choice. And I think that's another aspect. And also this is it's not like just imagined example. It's real example because even for Bielik, we saw many examples where we were able to fine tune our model to some specific examples, tasks. For example, we have partners operating in the law area, right? So for law, for example, you can fine tune our model to be very good on task related to operating on the law, mm, laws of, I mean law for Polish, for example, for yeah, for Polish. So, and these fine-tuned models were better, even better than GPT or Gemini, right? So it's not even so. mm just want to like back to this question about competition, right? Competing with GPT, you cannot, we cannot compete like Bielik, for example, cannot compete with GPT globally. I mean, there is no way to do it. Um, it's not, yeah. But if you take just a very small subset of tasks you need to handle, for example, in your company, and you can fine tune our model to these tasks, you will get you can expect to get better results with these fine tuned models than with GPT. Even though our model will be also cheaper, smaller, you can run it on your infrastructure. So it's, for me, it's obvious that many companies also official parts like government, military, many of such services will use dedicated models, train such models. So I don't see that big models like GPT will grab everything almost.